So today I'm going to quickly show you split dives in six man. It's a different play style that a lot of six man teams or teams that play six man don't fully do. They sort of normally just bum rush it forward and try and kill what's close. So how this sort of works is this. Uh, Essentially you have six people. You're in my last video. Hopefully you watched basics. You saw six man into mirror. But when you're playing into a composition that's like a spam comp, and this is a very good example of a spam comp: Orisa, D.Va, Hanzo, Ana, Ashe, Mercy, where it's like a full-on spam. It can be really rough for your Winston essentially to close distance and get on a target that he needs to get on. Because if you think about it, from here to going all the way over there is just not feasible. He's going to blow up by the Ashe damage boosted, or the Hanzo that could just hit Doinks and Stormare and just roll him. Plus the D.Va can also shoot him, the Marissa can halt him. How this is approached is you do what's called a split dive to essentially pressure out the people that would pressure Winston, so your Winston's able to take space. So how this would work is, first of all, Reaper doesn't need to play with the team, because if Reaper plays with the team, he's probably just gonna take pressure. So instead, Reaper can maybe play something like over here and sort of creep in later and play here. And then what'll happen is Sombra will maybe play, let's say Sombra plays over here, for instance. So now what'll happen is these three sort of represent your core, your Lucio, Moira, and Winston. Why are these your core? Well, because you need your speed to close the distance. You want to save Winston jump to get out, Moira to heal your Winston, and D.Va sometimes with a core, but normally sometimes might go do split dives or like pressure. So how this is going to work is these guys will essentially, that I'd say. So these guys will press W key and push into the Orisa. When that happens, this Reaper is going to teleport and go up here, and then this D.Va will come with them for a little bit. So, my bad. So it should be like this. They're gonna be like this because D.Va should be in from behind. But it'll be like this. These guys will push. This Sombra will hack the D.Va. This Reaper will teleport from here to there, and then when the D.Va is here, this D.Va will fly now and go on the Ashe. Now, if you see how this works, what's happening is this Winston is closing distance, pressuring the Orisa, forcing gold. Normally, you're not able to blow up an Orisa through gold, especially if it gets naded and maybe like Mercy heals her, or the Orisa gets like lamp. So this is like sort of a pushing the Orisa to force gold and shield. You're not planning on killing the Orisa here, you're just forcing CDs. While this is happening, the D.Va is going on the Ashe. The Reaper is going up here on the Hanzo, and sure, this might be a bit more risky, so you could swap these around too if you really want to. Maybe it's going to be easier that way, sure. That way your Reaper doesn't get one-tapped. Now, when this happens here, your Reaper isn't trying to kill the Ashe. Your Reaper essentially would just fade out, and then your D.Va would sort of just drop. The D.Va gets hacked, so D.Va's not able to peel for the Orisa or any of these people. Your Sombra should play a corner, preferably something like this here, so it's harder for the Sombra to get forced out too. Now, after that happens, a soft dive, this person will drop, this person will also drop, and then Sombra will probably play over here, and then you'll look to blow up this Orisa then. And then Orisa doesn't have gold or any CDs, so essentially now the Orisa dies, you guys move forward, and you can look to stabilize or you can look to keep going. So it depends sort of, what you would want to do here. When the Orisa's dead, you don't want to just force point, because if you force point, then the enemy team will sort of just kill you from high grounds. So you can either then say, take a second, stabilize here, and then you can sort of do the same sort of thing, except here you force point. With maybe like your Moira, so your Moira would surf point, and then you do a split dive, or maybe your Winston probably solo dies maybe on goes on somebody. Your Reaper, your Lisa can maybe come with him, and then your D.Va Reaper go on another target. D.Va Reaper, because I like the DM for the Reaper, and go up here, and then you sort of soft contest these while forcing point. And if your Sombra is able to set up, your Sombra can too. If somebody drops though, I prefer your Sombra being down here, because your Sombra can hack them and you can kill them. And yes, Moira might be difficult on first point, but it's fine. You actually don't need, you don't need verticality. If you're gonna play this web method, it's actually fine for your Moira, because your Moira can just play around sides, and on top of that, you build Cole. Or the way that I actually really prefer playing it is you essentially look to do this. Once you kill this Orisa, you rotate like this, you clear the high ground. Now you've cleared this part of the map, and then you clear this part of the map. The enemy team can only really play here or back there, so you probably just win if you position smart. If the enemy team decides to double back and like come over here, so these guys over here, when they see you pushing up, they run over here, then all you do is you then just come back here and you speed them, and they're just dead. So yeah. So this is sort of like how one play style is sort of this split dive concept, where you split stuff up to sort of go on people. And I'll talk about it in another way as well, where here you have Sombra, and like that's really cool, and Sombra's great for hacking and building EMP. But sometimes you might have a tracer, and if you have a tracer, it gets even more interesting because now you can essentially like dive harder with your split dives and actually get kills. Whereas here, as this Reaper maybe teleports on this Ash, if you get a kill on the Ash, that's great. But you're not expecting it to. Now let's say you have maybe like let's say maybe your tracer wants to go over here, and then your D.Va wants to go over here. Maybe you two now go on this Ana and you kill this Ana because you pressure this Ash, and if the Mercy tries to peel, then the Ash dies. If the Mercy stays with the Ash, then the Ana dies. So now that you have more, what do you call it, like damage or dive mobility divers, and a sort of tracer has more uptime and can sort of output more damage, you can look to make your split dives more like impactful and look to get kills. Whereas here now the trade-off though is since you don't have a Sombra, you can't get a hack. This D.Va will be able to peel somewhere, which can be bad. Also, on top of that, if you don't have a Sombra, you won't be able to build EMP, which EMP is really strong. Normally, you would see something like this. You would see different DPS based off the playstyle you want to play. And I'm not gonna go too much into this, but the playstyle you want to play, but also the map structure. For instance, if it's a really long map, you probably won't even see Reaper. You'll probably see Tracer Sombra. If it's a really short map, you'll probably see Reaper because Reaper can actually inherently get value.
Greetings.
So it's sort of based off the map structure and also hero pool as well. However, I really, really, really like Sombra. So the only reason why I'd want to run this is because I'm really confident on my Reaper player to understand how to make these plays here. Because Reaper can apply pressure, direct pressure, because he's burst, whereas Tracer Sombra can't really do that. So that's sort of it. And something to keep in mind, right, is like when you're doing these split dives, you're not if you get value at the start, that's great. But as the fight goes on, it's very good for you because you end up building Cole while you're also denying the enemy team like pressure, and they're not building him at that much ultimate because they're like peeling and living. That maybe the supports. So when you build Cole and then you sort of like again like you sort of start pushing, you push this Orisa, these guys drop right, and Tracer maybe just plays to live, gets mega whatever. Then eventually you'll have Cole, and then you can push again hard with Cole on somebody. And again, when the Orisa doesn't fortify, that Orisa is just dead. And then you can stabilize. Maybe you don't use Cole, you kill Orisa, you save Cole, then you push high ground with Cole. There's a lot of options. But hopefully this concept of split diving makes sense. I can give another quick brief example right over here. A lot of times you'll see an Ashe on this high ground, maybe it's a Mercy pocket, maybe you see a Hanzo really far back with an Ana. And then you'll see an Orisa, whoa. You'll see an Orisa over here. And then maybe you'll see their D.Va over here. So a very simple way to approach this is, keep this out, we'll use Reaper. Have your Reaper teleport on high. Have your Winston, Lucio, Moira here. You guys will push from here. Your D help. That particular.
One eternity later.
And then Tracer can look to go here, and then these guys will push, go forward. D.Va will then go help the Reaper. That Ashe is forced out. You pressure Orisa, force fortify. You still have jump. These guys don't get value. They drop, they live. Then you turn right, and you sort of blow up this Orisa because Orisa now is pinched and can die. And this Orisa, as you notice, is constantly getting pinched. And then on top of that, you can also bubble off the Orisa too if you really want to. Yeah, so that's sort of split diving. Hopefully you guys learned a lot.